Well, hello guys, and welcome to another episode on our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube and Facebook. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Pastor Stephen Birnie, and at the moment we are populating our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube channel with various videos and, just get the stock right up, But one of the very important ones is our testimony. Our testimony is people, myself and Sharon, my family, so that anybody that comes on the channel can get to know us, know who we are, where we came from, so these things are very, very important. But the main thing, guys, is to show you who God really is, through my experiences, and they're not dissimilar to many other Christians, but to show who he actually is to get rid of some of these doubts and so on. I really want to show you God, because as always as a Christian, guys, I know that whatever it is, God is the answer, and hopefully through this testimony series you'll see that. You'll see it very clearly from verifiable experiences that we've went through as people. But for now, guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications. There'll be loads of videos being put on this channel. Of course, we've got our Birnie Family YouTube channel as well. There I do like Motorbike Vlogs and Scottish Castle tours and DIY and all that sort of stuff. And the kids have actually got 3 YouTube channels called Birnie Family Fun, Birnie Family Fun Shorty Shorts and Birnie Family Fun Gaming. Yeah, so before I start, guys, it's very, very important for me to share with you that when I'm sharing these experiences, I'm never blaming like my parents, for example, or the friends that I was around or anything like that. That's just not what this is about. The people around you, I suppose, when you're growing up, were just doing what they could. You sort of forget that they were going through stuff too. You see, you hear it later in life as well. You make a lot of the same mistakes yourself, and you look back and you can understand completely God taking us to a place where you can actually forgive your parents for various things that happened, or forgive family members or friends. That's where God really wants to take you, set you free from all of that stuff, so that you can really get to know him. Yeah, so we're down in the garage, and it's the bike garage. It's a little bit windy. We've got a big sort of cover up here just now, but the bike's underneath doing a little bit of work to them and stuff. But hopefully the noises outside, the birds and stuff, won't be a distraction. But yeah, I think like a lot of people, I just grew up on the streets. And I really have to paint this picture for you because we've got such a modern generation now, guys, and I would never go back to the way things were. The internet, being able to connect with people, the things that you can see, the things that you can learn, it's just a fantastic time to be in. But when I was young, we never had any of that. Up here in the north of Scotland, we had 4 TV channels and a 5th came along. I can remember our first colour TV. I can remember our first stereo, playing cassette tapes, and first VHS player. That's how far back I go. I'm only 47, but I remember that quite well. But we had very little, and I think people in the street thought we had money because Dad always had a new company car every 2 or 3 years, and it was always obviously an up-to-date model, so it kind of looked like we had money and all these things, but that really wasn't the case. In the area we grew up in, and I hate class systems, it's just a load of nonsense, this lower class, working class, middle class, I hate all that sort of stuff. But just to term it in the world's view, we were more of a working class family living in a lower class area, the way that society would put it. There was a lot of unemployment and alcoholism, and you grew up seeing fights and arguments, and not so much drugs as such back then, but certainly major alcohol stuff. But in that, as a kid growing up, you've got nothing else to do. You're not going away on holidays, you're not getting any real money or new things or anything like that. So it makes you quite creative, and of course when I was young, it was building campies, up in the forest, and you'd have to see these wooden go-karts, Try and find a photo of an old wooden go-kart for you. And obviously push bikes, because that's really all we had when it came to transport, was push bikes. And when I was young, I was always the guy that, kids took their bikes round, and I'd fix the bikes and away they'd go and stuff. And then this older gentleman moved into the street and he kind of took over my business sort of thing. But that's the kind of things that we did. And of course with push bikes we could just about go anywhere sort of round about, but it was a tough area. There was major bullies, real evil people. There's, when I look back now, goodness me, some adults that you just crossed the road, if you saw them, that was the type of area that we lived in. A lot of people had a lot of notoriety, and you know, the tough kids, the real tough kids, the real bully kids, you know, they were all sort of around. I think the big thing for me was really football. You know, of course, you guys in the States would call it soccer. And most kids, I mean, most kids growing up in my era could play football. And there's many that were really, actually really, really good footballers. And I suppose we're playing it all the time. You know, we had very little else to do. And it was just this great joy, you know, something I could do and I could do well. And the skills are still with us now. I mean, I still love football. I don't really watch matches anymore. But back then it was always Glasgow Rangers and Glasgow Celtic. And closer to us was more sort of Aberdeen. And then you had like Dundee United and, you know, Hearts of Midlothian and all those sort of teams, you know, and that was a real big thing for us growing up. But as always, you know, even in all that, you know, you turn to crime, you know, you don't have any money, if the excitement's not great, you know, and you turn to it, you know, and you do your share of thieving. And of course back then the big thing was breaking windows. It was just that rush, you know, taking the, you know, the logos off the front of cars, you know, and collecting them up and stuff, you know, letting down people's tyres and just getting into all kinds of mischief, you know. But I came to the stage when I was 9 years old, and there's a guy visiting called Dave Brett. He's actually passed away now. His wife Darlene stays in New Zealand, and I gave my life to the Lord during that time, and I had an amazing experience for God. I mean, I remember shaking and feeling a sense of purity, you know, this unlike anything I'd ever seen, you know. And I genuinely gave my life to God that day. You know, I really wanted my life to kind of move forward. I saw that even at 9 years old, that I really wanted something different. Because it was like on the streets. It was just fighting and getting up to mischief, staying out late, you know, doing all these things that kids still do today. I still see the same thing. There's nothing really different in it. Kids certainly have a lot more now than they used to have before, which is really, really good. I'm so happy to see, you know, kids having more, because we had very little. And I suppose one of the great influences that I had was my grandparents, and they were saved, and they were ultra saved. You know, it was Jesus every day sort of thing. And, you know, when I was around them, I always felt that sense of God. You know, they're very kind, loving, they were always interested in what you're up to accept you for who you are. Their testimony was amazing. They weren't perfect people, guys, you know, but their testimony was amazing. You know, we had winos, alcoholics, drunks, whatever you sort of term it as in our street. You know, they'd make sandwiches for them and take them down, and Grandma would just give away her last penny to help anyone. That's just who she was. Granda would treat everybody the same. It was just really quite amazing, and that's what really drew me to God and to church. But when I got to church, and when I was around church people, around my grandparents and so on, I actually built up quite a sense of anger, because here I was with people who had quite a lot compared to what we had, you know, and all these parents seemed to care about their kids. They were just kids looking at this and looking at that, and it was really quite something, and seeing where they lived, what they did, what they could do, and wearing foreign holidays and stuff like that. And my anger actually began to bring up because I didn't have these things. So of course in the high school years, and I really have to say, guys, I think that my high school friends, a teacher said it once, that our year was a very special year, and we were all good friends. It was just very odd, you know, in a way, but my friends almost saved me in a way. I was really unhappy, and I just found this great friendship among them, you know, and they seemed to come from much of the same background I did, and they understood, and then of course the teenage years just move in. You start with the drinking now, you start with you know, girlfriends, and because drugs weren't major at that point, you know, when I began high school, but they became quite major. I was drifting away slowly though, you know, and one of the things that sort of helped me drift away, as it were, was that I was very popular at school. You know, I never really rubbed people up the wrong way. I wasn't interested in fighting or, you know, looking hard or anything like that. You know, I was the funny one, you know, and the class joker, and that's just who I was. And of course, you know, when it came to girlfriends and whatnot, you know, it was almost like a lot of them would say, you know, things like, I don't want to lose you as a friend, and I think you're such a great person, but I wouldn't want us to fall out, and all this sort of things, you know, and that was it for me. And sort of my best circle of friends, for example, it was just really odd. I actually hung around with probably one of the most beautiful girls in school, as far as I'm concerned. And I think a few lads, you know, and people just couldn't work out why we were like best friends. You know, we walked back and forth to school every day and did quite a lot together and stuff like that. But of course, in behind it all, I was just in love with her, you know, just this amazing, amazing person. But I was still the good friend that she didn't want to lose, you know. So that was quite sad. I don't know why I tailed off into that. But yeah, the friendships, the circle of friends that I made during that time, I would never trade that, you know, and always want to thank them for that. But now, as the teenage years started to move forward, you know, it was the real drinking, of course, was always the big thing in Scotland, you know, and you really, really done your best to look the best and drink most, and you know, you could do this and you could do that. A little later, drugs, you know, and of course the womanising was always a thing, as I've said in previous messages. I was drifting and drifting and drifting away from God, you know, because what I was finding was that the actual church life and whatnot actually made me unhappy. It was almost as though you'd go there, it was a different world, and then you'd come back out of that and you had to face your reality. And of course, with me being an unhappy kid anyway, a really unhappy teenager, all these things just felt good, you know, having that friendships, having the parties, you know, sneaking drink and trying different drinks, trying different drugs, trying this, trying that, just experimenting and experimenting. And obviously that's when my life really began to descend, you know. And obviously I left school, I jacked it in, I think in my first higher year. I worked for about 3 years before I went to college, and it was then I met Sharon. I'll share something more about that. But really when that fifth year sort of came about, that was it, you know, for me. I was really in the full-time partying and alcoholic mode, you know, and drinking and trying all these different things. And you know, guys, I look back on it, and this is the part where I kind of want to show you the mind of God. As I kind of look back on it, and I look at it and think, you know, who could actually blame a person for taking that kind of a road? You know, considering the opportunities they had or didn't have, you know, the lack of guidance and all these things. I was like, there's no wonder I fell into crime and doing stupid things and drinking and, you know, very, very young ages. But of course, as I'll move on to another time, you know, me and Sharon got saved together. You know, that's how you see us now, 20 years later. You know, it's never sort of look back, as it were, except in these sermons. But I do look back on that, and I look at God, because I look to myself and think I really did give my life to Him when I was 9. There was absolutely no question. I've been a Christian since I was 9, even though I went through all that stuff. Of course, when I came back, I was a backslidden Christian. I had tons of issues and stuff that needed to be sorted through before I ever became sort of really happy, you know. But I looked back and thought to myself, Lord, did you understand all that? And I know you know everything, and you know the past, the future, the present, all those sort of things, but do you understand me? Do you get why, you know, I did these things? And guys, we still repent of these things. They are still sins, you know. They're not excuses, but they are reasons. And that's that reasoning, is saying to God, did you understand? And guys, knowing God the way that I do, trust me, He understands. He gets it. He really does understand. If you grew up on the streets, I've just painted a very mild picture of what my life was like growing up as a person. If you grew up in the streets and you haven't had the opportunities and you've never had the guidance, God does not blame you for that. He understands. He understands you more than anyone ever will. I've been together with Sharon now for 24 years and we've been saved for 20 of that. She doesn't know me like God. I don't know her like God. He knows everything, everything from the past, everything from the present, everything for the future. He knows exactly why I did all these things. Again, God's a parent. He doesn't condone behaviour and He doesn't excuse it. As such, it's not an excuse, but He understands the reasons for it all. And that's where His mercy and His compassion and His care shines through, where He says, I understand all the stuff that you've gone through, all the missed opportunities that you've had. It could be even more serious, like abuse or being chucked around the foster system or anything like that. He understands. And if you sit there thinking, oh, God could never, I'm just disgusting, God could never, that is nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. He understands completely. And when we're in a place where we're seeing these things and we think, I just don't want this anymore, that really does give God his hand to enter into your life and change things in a very, very dramatic way. One of the things that has often frustrated me over the years as a Christian and as a pastor is that all too often people can be very good at making sermons about what's wrong and why this and why that, but you're never really being told how to remedy it, how to go forward. And I guess in this sort of little message, I want you to go forward, looking up. He's in here, but you look up and you think, he understands me. He doesn't think I'm disgusting. He doesn't think I'm worthless. He doesn't think that. Because he can see you and he can see your future. But he understands your past. Do you honestly think if you've been abused as a child that he is looking down upon you in judgment? It's care, guys. It's absolute pure love and concern and desire to change your life. I always hope, as a preacher, someone who preaches and teaches, you never really want to be talking about yourself, pushing yourself up. In this testimony series, I've kind of got to say me, I, and all these things because it is a testimony series. But God comes first, you guys. I want you to see him. People can let you down. He can't let you down. And he's always there with open arms. What I found was that I gave my life to Jesus when I was 9. He understood that I was an unhappy kid. He understood why I went off the rails. He understood why I did all these things. And he had a plan to bring me back. And when he brought me back, all things were forgiven, guys, Now that's me that gave my life to Jesus. How much more, if you've never known Jesus, will he welcome you with open arms? Well, I got a bit of a chastisement, obviously, in that when I came back, you had to get all that rubbish out of my life, the lust, the pride, all that stuff that's very, very destructive. But how much more can he forgive you? I'm the one that, I kicked him in the teeth. I rejected him. I betrayed him. You haven't even met him yet, maybe. You've got that purer thing, guys. You've really got that purer thing. And, I go through life, as it were, not in regret, because that's very unhealthy, but you do have that tinge of regret where you look back and say, I wish I did things differently. But God shows you, helps you understand why you made the decisions you made. And you can let that all go. So guys, in closing, again, I just want to say to you that, a lot of parents get it wrong, and I've been a parent who's got it wrong as well. And you understand, you forget that your parents were once in their 20s and their 30s. And just trying to get through life too. Then you see their background and you see how tough they had it, and they were just doing what they were doing with the tools in the toolbox they have, And God always wants to bring us to a place where we can forgive for all that and let it go, just let the chains go and bye. I'm not being held down by these things anymore. That's what God does. So again, guys, I hope you really enjoyed. Hopefully just give you a little sort of window into where I was, back then. I've got a few more testimonies to come, like first jobs, and of course when we met Sharon and how much of a complete and utter disaster that was, all the stuff that went along with that, and many other little teachings as well. Because again, guys, I just want to show you God. I want to show you how God did things in my life. And I just pray and hope that you can look at me in your eyes and say, I can have what he's got, I can have that. My life can change. And hopefully through these testimonies you will see my life change, back then to sort of the way it is now. And you'll see him. You'll see that he's absolutely real and he is right there for you. Yeah, so guys, I'm a YouTuber, so please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notifications. There's always loads of videos to come. Again, guys, we have our Birnie Family YouTube channel where I do like DIY and of course the cars, bikes and boats and all that sort of stuff. And of course the kids channels are really beginning to build now too at this point, with our Birnie Family Fun. And of course Emily's got her horse vlog, David does airsoft, and they do quad bike and just loads and loads of different things. And of course shorts are quite a big thing now, so obviously we have our YouTube Shorts channel, TikTok, and we've got this gaming channel that we're developing. I'm actually doing a playlist called Noob Dad Motorsport where I'm playing World Rally Championship and Formula 1 and Forza and Dirt 2 and all these different car games, which I'm really enjoying actually. But as always guys, we're always here. Always here. Always sharing these type of videos. And I just hope you really enjoy, but more importantly, I hope you find God. I hope you find change in your life, just to be transformed by God himself.